Sammy, if you only had 1 minute to give music artists the best music marketing or music business advice you possibly could, what would you say? 1 minute on the clock.
Well, first of all, you got to know what your consumer wants and needs, right? So if you know that your best friend, for example, is needing a song to get them through a breakup, and you're needing to write you don't know what to write for your next song is, well, maybe writing a breakup song is your best move because that's something that your closest listeners, friends, family, they need that, right? And so it's kind of the same analogy of like, sell me this pen. If you need to write a check, you need a pen. And so it's kind of, that's how I treat it basically. And also get to the point. Like, don't bore us, get to the chorus. The same thing that I apply in songs. Try to get to that chorus as soon as possible. When it comes to making short form content and making something to sell your song, your video, whatever you're creating, the same thing applies.
Nice, man. 53 seconds. Didn't even need the whole minute. Yeah, great advice, man. And you've had a pretty interesting journey. I mean, we'll get into it on this chat, but like, you're some couple bullet points. Your social media fan base jumped to over 500,000 people within a year. You were on auditioning or on the 10th season of American Idol, and then you eventually left to go to Nashville. And feel free to correct me after if I get anything wrong. You were signed and dropped by Sony at one point. That was actually a really good thing that you were dropped and that they let you go free. You've sold, maybe this number's updated since then, over $250,000 of NFTs. And you talked about how you did it through, essentially on X and hopping into Web3 communities. And I noticed recently, looking at your releases, you have a kind of unique release strategy in that you have like cover songs, original songs, but then you have like Spanish versions of songs and then Spanglish versions of songs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was looking at one of your albums, and I have to imagine there's a whole strategy behind that as well, because you are who you are. So I'd imagine there's a game plan behind it. But let's start off with tell people a little bit about your background, who you are, what you do, and I guess correct me on any of the stats about you I got wrong.
Oh man, you nailed it. Well, I started my crazy journey down in South Florida. My whole family actually is from the island of Cuba, born and raised. And they came over to the United States at a very young age, and they met here in the States at a nightclub dancing salsa. Go figure. And thankfully I happened. And they made a very creative baby, because when I was born, I did a little bit of everything. I played sports. I loved arts and crafts. I went to a magnet school for a little bit for art, and I just did a bunch of different things growing up. I used to draw anime, believe it or not, and all that stuff. I'm just a big old nerd at heart. And then I discovered music sometime in my early teens. I went into my dad's office, and he had my grandfather's nylon string just sitting there collecting dust. And I guess I was bored that day and went on good old YouTube, when that was like the only thing on earth to find any resourceful content, like videos to teach you something. And I went on YouTube and put how to play the G chord, how to play the D chord, how to play the C chord. And that was enough for me to put together 2 or 3 chords and write some lyrics, and gave it my first shot of becoming a songwriter. And I will say they were not very good. I think everybody can say the same thing, that at first nothing's very good, but I thankfully kept powering through and kept going, because it was a new way for me to basically express myself and my locked emotions. I did the American Idol auditions, and it was a very short-lived thing. And then I moved to college in Winter Park, Florida, and tried to get a degree in recording arts to try to have something in my back pocket. I realized 4 or 5 months in that school wasn't for me. I just didn't have the attention span for that. I was too creative. And I used the good old Facebook to reach out to singer-songwriters, producers, engineers, any professional in the music industry in the Nashville area that cared about my DM, that said, I'm an up and coming guy down in Orlando. Here's 3 songs on my SoundCloud. They're not very good, but you could at least get an idea of like what I can deliver on. And here's my vision. I want to be a Latino in country music. There's a huge void for that in the genre, and I really do think that I can be a contender for that. And if you have any guidance, please let me know. And so out of the 1,000 DMs that I probably sent, two bit the line. And that was enough for me to pack up my things, drop out of college, and make the big move to Nashville. And I've been here now for a good 14 years, doing the same thing, representing my Hispanic culture in country music, and finding new ways to fuse the two worlds in a way that just makes sense.
You're actually right. There is kind of a huge void in terms of Latina representation and country music artists, which is kind of weird. Just like knowing so much about like Texas and the South and like how many people from that culture are in the places where country music comes up. You know?
100%.
Yeah. And also, especially the fact that you're out of Miami is even more unique because, like, as far as I know, Miami is most known for its like dance music scene, which is kind of
Very
fun.
true. Yeah, and that's yeah. I was raised on dance music and salsa, merengue, just genres of Latin music that a lot of people in Nashville probably never heard or were raised on. But thankfully, I was exposed to those kind of styles early on, and it really influenced the way that I pen my songs and approach the songwriting process. And
Yeah.
it's different audiences. That's the beauty of this country. It's a huge melting pot of different cultures. And
Yeah.
when I say country, like it's an honor and a privilege to say that the country that I have in my mind is the US, because it just has so many different flavors and sauces, right? And so there's
Yeah.
really no one way to do it. Country is all what you make it.
For sure, yeah, yeah, and a lot of artists are kind of afraid to kind of blend things a lot of the times because they're worried it'll make them less marketable if they're too specific. I know someone else who I don't think he'll be mad at me for sharing this because he's just getting started with it, but he's starting this like Afrobeat country fusion solo project,
That's amazing.
and it's super unique, and it's got like this faith-based twist and motivational twist and like the lyrics and the concept and the audience. And I think those types of spins and blending of different genres and different cultures are actually like what make it uh, easier to stand out.
And I think, one of the reasons why, I still wake up every morning and do this thing is, music is so powerful, man. I mean, I tell all my friends, music might be the closest thing to a superhuman ability, like a superpower, because not only does
Yeah,
music heal, it sounds cheesy and all, but it really does heal. It's a form of therapy, but it's got magnetism. It brings people together, right? And so
yeah,
to think that I can grab a piece of wood, hit the strings, put some words together, make some vibrations out of my neck, and that is enough to bring together thousands of people and all bond over the
yeah.
same thing. If that ain't a superpower, then I don't know what is.
Love it. Now let's get into some of the more nerdy technical backend stuff.
Yeah.
Let's dive into the NFT thing. The first thing I saw about you online doing NFTs was in, I think, 2022. Is when I saw some articles of you talking to people about what you were doing. And obviously, the world has changed a ton, especially with regards to crypto and NFT since then. What did you do back then? If you can kind of walk us through that journey. And is that a big part of what you do now? Just knowing how much everything shifted.
Yeah, it's a great question. So back in late 2021, I got a phone call from one of my close friends down in South Florida who was coincidentally already in the space. He was already what you call an NFT collector, an asset collector. And he found internet communities that came together and bonded over having ownership of these assets, right? It's almost like having four friends that all do real estate and you all get together for lunch to talk about the same thing and like show one another which houses you've recently sold and whatnot. Very similar thing, but in the form of like owning digital assets. A lot of people seem to struggle with the concept of what is a digital asset exactly. It's basically like a trading card or a very scarce set of shoes, like Jordans or Pandas that are there's only like 1,000 of them ever made. That's what NFTs are, but digitally on our phones and our devices. And so my buddy was already involved in that community. He had bought a few just to kind of feel what it's like, because he's kind of what I call a futurist. He just loves to do things that are like, out of his comfort zone, but he has that gut feeling that it can be something down the road.
Yeah,
And he felt that feeling with NFTs and crypto. And so he did his own research. He did his own test trials and whatnot. And then with him being, of course, one of my closest friends, he knows my fan base, he knows my listeners and how passionate and diehard they are. He reached out to me and goes, Sammy, you need to get on this NFT thing like right now, because your community, your underground music community would understand this so much, and they would be all about it. You would be basically giving an opportunity to your early fans, your early listeners, to make an investment, a money investment into your long term success, right? If there's somebody out there that has $2,000 lying around that wants to invest in you, help you make music, help you tour, provide you the resources to do what you love, you can now offer them that ability to invest in you through these digital assets, through these NFTs. And the beauty of NFTs is that I can customize them to my liking. I can make them look how I want, sound how I want, play whatever video that I want attached to them. And at the end of the day, you know, your hard work as a music artist will directly influence the value of the
Mhm.
assets that your fans are owners of. And so hearing that made me go, wow, you're telling me that I can just do exactly what I'm doing on a daily basis. And by me, every single day, little by little, becoming more well known, music's being heard more, uh, tickets are being sold more. That's going to directly, positively influence my fans' early investment. It's going to reward the early fan. Sign me up. I just went with my gut. I wrote a song specifically for my first NFT project, and I got together with a good friend of mine. His name's Hattie the Creator, his artist name, and he drew the art that is attached to the digital asset, and then I attached the MP3 file to that image as an MP4, and then that's what the NFT is. It's an MP4 with an image and a song that collectors can collect at any time on OpenSea, which is basically the website, like the Amazon of NFTs. And I didn't look back. I just said, we're doing it. We're launching it. Developer, hit deploy. We're going live with it. We're going to have 1,500 of these bad boys live to sell. And whoever buys them, great. And whoever doesn't, well, it doesn't matter. We did an NFT, and that's a win for me. I had no expectations. And I kid you not, man, like within the week, we sold all 1,500. And at the time, Ethereum was during the bull run. So Ethereum was over $4,000, and we were selling each asset for like maybe $50-$60.
Mhm.
And at the end of the project, when it said sold out, we looked at the final like gross amount that project generated, and at the current value of Ethereum at the time, it showed on my screen $264,000 in Ethereum. Yeah, insane.
Damn. Yeah, yeah. The value that you assign to an individual NFT, um, do you feel like that has a lot to do with what? Obviously, it has to do with your career and your trajectory, because I kind of think of it almost like buying stocks in a stock market. You're getting a company, you're breaking it up into shares, and you're digitally getting like certificates that you own this chunk of that company. And if that company does better financially, or if the public perception of that company changes, you either make or lose money, and you can resell that share. And that's how I've always thought about it. And I think
Yeah.
that's largely how it,
No, that's
essentially
very that
happens.
you're spot on. I mean, you said it in like literal terms. It was so well said. Obviously I try to stay away from those words sometimes, because they can be taken differently. But at the end of the day, you're right. It is a stake, and it's an opportunity to basically place a bet on my long term success as a music artist. And I'm
Yeah.
very blessed that there's people out there that believe in me that much that they're willing to go as far as not only learning crypto, because that there's a huge learning curve there,
Right.
but also going as far as downloading a crypto wallet and learning all about what a seed phrase is and a secret password, and learning how to transfer crypto from one wallet to the other, or buy crypto from MoonPay and wait a couple hours for your crypto to be uh, effective in your wallet, like things like that, right? There's a lot of learning curves and a lot of hurdles still that need to be worked on in order for mass adoption to step in. But
Sure.
the fact that even today, with all the obstacles that we're facing, the fact that our fans are willing to go as far as doing all that goes to show how powerful the super fan is, and how much and how important they are. And I'll never take them for granted ever.
Pivoting away from the NFT side of things for a moment, you also just have a pretty massive fan base on multiple platforms. Like for example, on Spotify, you have 333,000 monthly listeners. You have several songs actually with over 10 million streams. You have plenty of others with singular digit millions of streams. You have, I think, 400,000 followers on Instagram, several hundred thousand on TikTok. I don't actually know if I've seen your YouTube count, but pretty big audience. So I mean, congrats
Thanks, man.
about that, as well as everything else you've done. It's amazing.
Appreciate that.
What and I guess partially NFT thing. How many of those people do you think have spilled over into the other part of the equation, which is listening to your music, maybe coming out to shows, buying merch? And then what did you do outside of that space to promote your music to the people who aren't interested in it?
That's a good question. That's one of my favorites too. So when I was in the NFT space heavily, um, I had Twitter Spaces, X Spaces to be able to perform. So I would grab my guitar, sing songs, some new, some old. So they all knew. They all knew that I was a musician. They all knew I had a presence in what I call Web 2. Web 2 being Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Web 3 is the evolution of that, which is uh, ownership. Web 3 I call ownership, and that's through crypto and NFTs and the blockchain, which is a whole nother conversation. But they knew I do music, and they knew that I had already quite a following on those platforms. But there was a huge disconnect, right? If you were to post about NFTs or crypto on Instagram or TikTok, your account would get like shadow banned, and like no, everybody would like say like, I don't know what you're talking about, did you get hacked, all this stuff, and so I would just
Yeah,
completely like not even bring it up to anybody in on Instagram and TikTok. I just kept that on X for a while, but then as I started getting more normalized, I started hearing the word crypto, Bitcoin, more often. I started going on TikTok live, and then I little by little would sprinkle the knowledge to the people viewing, and say, hey, who here is a collector? And I would just lead with baby questions, very subtle questions. I would never use the word NFT, never use the word crypto. I would just say, who likes to collect things? And then if I saw the comments go, me, 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 I'd go, all right, cool. Well, if you're a collector, I have created something that you might like. If you'd like to learn more, join my Discord community, and we'll teach you a little bit more about what we're talking about. And so then I just like baby step them in little by
yeah,
little, grow that Discord community. And then that was a great opportunity for me to combine the people that I would tell to join my Discord from Web3, Web2, join my Discord. They met in the chat. And then they started showing off, the collectors started showing off their assets and going, yeah, Sammy made this in 2022. And then it creates that FOMO of like, wait, you made this how long ago? 3 years ago. Where have I been? I want to learn about this. And then they get that like sense of like, I want to be involved. What the heck? Don't leave me out of this. And
yeah,
so Discord was a huge help, I'd say. I would do Zoom calls and Google Meets every once in a while with some of my fans as well. Only a few, maybe like every 2, 3 months, but I did it just so that I can help them with like downloading a crypto wallet, helping them understand what a seed phrase means, and uh, practice proper security measures so that way
yeah.
they're safe and protected from the get-go, because that's the most important part, right? You never want to teach anybody about anything money related without teaching them security first.
Yeah.
That's very
Especially in the crypto space where like there's so many scams and people getting
correct.
hacked and yeah,
And I would say too, in general, even in Web 2, there is a huge lack of cybersecurity, um, uneducated people on cybersecurity. So like
yeah,
nobody's taking the time to sit down and practice proper cybersecurity measures. Like they're not cleansing their passwords. They're clicking on malicious links. They're falling for traps in their emails they're draining their bank accounts. that all happens in every way, shape, or form. It happens to me as a music
Yeah.
artist on TikTok. There's maybe 30 to 50 new fake accounts being made of me that TikTok's
Oh
not doing anything about. And these people are pretending to be me, asking people for money, forcing them to click a link in their DMs, and the rest is history. And then they end up not liking me as an artist anymore because the scammer ruined it for me. But yeah, that's how I did it. I would just go on TikTok live. I would just cater to those that, you know, showcase a little bit of love towards the collector mindset, and I went for those people. I didn't go for all of them. Only the ones that really showed like I'm down, teach me, let's jump on a FaceTime or a Zoom call. It excites me and provides me the resources to be able to do what I love to do, and know having that peace of mind that my fan is winning, side by side with me.
I guess I've just never hung out in Twitter Spaces before, but like how active overall have you felt? Like, does it feel like a whole thriving ecosystem, or does it feel like a very niche? Like, there's regular X, and then there's like Instagram, but then like if you're on X, and then you go to X Spaces, like how thriving does that feel nowadays? And I guess especially after it rebranded from Twitter to X and all the political stuff that's
Yeah,
happened.
I would. It's very active. I feel like social media more than ever has made it easier to connect with one another. I feel like
Yeah.
many, like I not even many, like I'd say maybe even 5 years ago, we didn't really have TikTok. We didn't really have an advanced version of Instagram, even Facebook. All we really had was like live streams,
Yeah.
and even those weren't very they were very limiting because you would only get like 10 people at a time. The algorithm wouldn't push it to a lot of people. But X Spaces does a great job of like, if you were talking about, I don't know, something Trump just said on a press conference and you wanted to all get together and have like a discussion about what was just spoken on the press conference, X does a great job of like, if the host puts in the topics, politics, press conference, keywords, whatever,
Mhm.
it'll like basically market your space to anyone that the X algorithm thinks will be interested in that conversation or wants to be part of that conversation. And I've been in spaces where, I kid you not, man, it'll blow your mind. I've been in a space with over 100,000 people,
Oh,
and
damn.
I know the host, and I go in and I say, hey, let me sing a song, and I'm literally singing for the Dallas Cowboys stadium. Like,
That's
that's how
insane.
big those spaces can get. and
Okay,
and
so they can be
they're
huge.
game changers, yeah. And you're going literally into the eardrum of everyone listening to that Twitter space with an AirPod on. There's no
Right.
escaping that. There's no better marketing. And so, like, when I'm like, this is the best thing ever made, I'm gonna take advantage of this any chance that I get. And
Do,
so,
do you feel like been a bigger contributor to like your streaming and social media growth than TikTok and Instagram? Or like how would you
100%,
rank them?
100%,
Really?
because
Wow.
I think TikTok is more of a passive thing where like everybody is kind of like on the same FYP, just catered to them. And your music just kind of falls on their lap, right? They didn't choose to listen to your music. It just kind of fell on their lap, and it's their decision to either listen to the video, go as far as follow you, like it, comment, whatever. Maybe go to your profile, see all the other videos you got, click the link. You're already almost about to lose them, and like they're scrolling through your Comey link, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a fragile, like, from passive to active, it's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to summarize everything that I've learned on this, it's like one, make sure that you're telling people why what you have to offer gives them value. But then two, I mean, everyone probably knows this part, but find a way to get it in front of them, which you had a few different mediums to do that. But one thing that's unique to you, I'd say, is like aggressive fan interaction and engagement. Like you didn't
Very much
just
so.
throw up some stuff and then just let the algorithm
My new
do
song's
it.
coming out on Friday. Pre-save link in the bio. The days of that are done.
Yeah, like you're going on Twitter Spaces, you're like literally serenading people, you're meeting people you don't know, You're having one-to-one interactions with them. You're hopping on Zoom calls with your biggest supporters. You're writing them custom songs. Like it's like super intimate one-on-one deep fan interaction. um
It's not the look cute, throw on a jacket, get a check mentality. It's make art, make friends, you know, and make beauty, make magic. And I feel like I find my true purpose is to connect with those people that connect with my art. The person working at a really difficult 8 to 7 in Alabama that, obsesses over my music, all they want is for me to comment back. And that is enough for them to go around that entire town and go, y'all need to listen to Sammy Arriaga.
I think artists don't do enough of that nowadays. They don't want to do the grunt work of one-to-one interactions.
Yeah.
I want to do one quick last topic before
Yeah.
we call this a wrap, but the whole releasing music under different like alternative versions, different languages. Like you released this album last year, Seven Roses Volume 2, I think it was, where
That's right.
there's like,
1 and 2. Yeah.
yeah, there's an English version of some songs, and then there's like a Spanish version, and there's a Spanglish version. What's the like strategy of that?
Man, to be honest, there wasn't really one. I feel like as a music artist, I have found a lot of fun in not having a strategy. I love living on the edge of like, I'm just gonna create and be myself, and if people resonate with it, awesome, because that's what it is. It's medicine for the ears. But I'm tired of making stuff to fit what's hot, right? Like I'm not doing it anymore for that. I did it for a little bit.
Yeah,
Now I make music for myself and also to help others. And I found this really cool, um, I guess, trend, if you want to call it. I hate the word trend, but I've noticed that a lot of TikTokers would stick to one thing and hammer it over and over and over and over again. They would go as far as wearing the same outfit
yeah,
because it worked. And so they're like, all right, I can't change anything. I got to leave it exactly like this and just do it again and again and again, and until it doesn't work anymore. And so my dad is like, hey, your superpower in country music is that you know another language. That is an advantage that you have over everybody in Nashville that you're not taking advantage of. You're not doing it enough. You need to just get on TikTok and start doing stuff in Spanish and say you're a country artist that represents Latinos, but do it in a fun, playful, memorable way. How can you do that? And so
yeah,
we got to talking, this and that. And he's like, why don't you just take your favorite Morgan Wallen song that just came out, that's viral, and just make it Spanish and just throw it up and on TikTok, see what happens. And I just threw my phone up on the table that one night, threw on a nice shirt, put on my little audio mic that I have to record my guitar and my vocals. And I said, this is Wasted on You by Morgan Wallen in Spanish. And then boom. And then I just started singing it and in Spanish. And then within 24 to 48 hours, I gained 100,000 followers. Like it was like magic. It was like my dad
yeah,
literally spoke courage into me, and I never looked back, and it became my thing. It became my thing of like, what if Jelly Roll got lost in Mexico? What if Cody Johnson got lost in Mexico? What if such a Randy Travis got lost in Mexico? And so that became the hook, right? And and now I just have fun with it, right? I enjoy making these translations. I enjoy putting my phone up and look forward to like recording it and just throwing it up so that people can enjoy it, because they've been asking me for all these requests for so long. And so I now look forward to just like I don't even care what it looks like anymore or what it sounds like. I just like do it and throw it up. I'm not a perfectionist like I used to be anymore, because
yeah.
what's not perfect to me could be perfect to somebody else. So
Mm,
I don't want to be that artist where I'm holding things back from everyone else who needs it simply because of my perfectionism. And I knew that I was onto something really, really cool when I started noticing that all the virality followed on every platform. And so I was like, wow, I've been looking for this moment for so long. Let's just keep making this over and over and over again. That's the fun of it all. It's just me blending all the different worlds that I was exposed to growing up and still am, and having fun with it. So
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, all of your links are down below in the description. If you want to go check out Sammy's music, check out his website, check out his NFTs, etc. Anything you want to leave the people with?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you guys kind of an update on what the year is looking like. We have CMA Fest coming up, so we're going to be doing a ton of stuff during CMA Fest, Country Music's week of the year. We got some tour dates coming up in Texas as well. We're going to be touring in Mexico for the first time ever, playing a festival down there in October in Monterrey, Mexico. We got more music coming soon, the 23rd of this month, May. I got the new single coming out, Selena. And this summer, we're going to be releasing even more songs. Album is projected to come out later this year, in hopefully October. And and yeah, tons of other surprises that I'm going to leave a surprise. So thanks for having me.
Again, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.